Robert Bryant, grew up in Savannah, Georgia. Harriet person. The reason why I'm so passionate about this type of conversation is because I have a background in adult education and learning, and one in diversity and multiculturalism. So when we look at things like gender, sexual orientation, that's been my bread and butter for years. It's one of the reasons why I ran for the Public Service Commission, because there's not one public service commissioner that's worried about environmental equity. There's not one public service commissioner sitting that's worried about communities of color. And if they have, show me the receipts. There's not one person, public service commissioner that has looked into income equity and what that means for a mom who has, a single parent who has children and have to make a decision between paying a bill or not. So we need to change that narrative. We need to change that narrative. And we're going to start on June 9th. So where do we begin, ladies and gentlemen? Where do we begin? What's the first topic question that you all kind of have bubbling in your head?
Well, I would like to begin with, I think that, well, number one, today was George Floyd's funeral, and I definitely want to give homage to what he's become. But I think that we also have to have a conversation about how we are going to start looking at how police officers that are excessive, that we'll just start with excessive, they use excessive force, how they are dealt with in this district. Now, I think that Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms has a very good model to follow, and I believe that Mayor Van Johnson has started a task force of his own. Mm-hmm. But if going forward, I believe that we have to start a conversation about how we're going to hold police officers accountable so that this stuff stops.
Yes, I certainly agree with Mr. Thompson's sentiments. There is one of the things that I found to be true while running for this office is that the DA race is usually one of the down ballot races. And what that means is most people are not, well, historically, most people have not been interested in the DA's race or really just knowledgeable, particularly where you have a presidential candidate on the ticket and the presidential race is kind of overshadows a lot of what's going on the local level. But what we have seen from the Arbery incident, as well as the George Floyd situation and the Amy Cooper Central Park case, is that what happens on the local level, right? It happens here on the local level and then it expands because that's exactly what we've seen. These incidents have taken place locally, and now through the advent and use and proliferation of social media, they now become national issues, right? And so what does this mean? What does this tell us? This tells us that while we definitely and certainly need to be concerned about politics on the national level, we must be really, really concerned about what's going on the local level, because a lot of those local offices directly impact our quality of life, the resources that we have available here to us, as well as what crime and punishment looks like from a prosecution standpoint. Never, ever, ever has the role of the DA gotten as much scrutiny and as much exposure as it did in the Arbery case, because now it's almost like the Wizard of Oz situation, right? Where you pull back the curtain and you know that previously the DA was this ominous figure that sent everybody to jail, and now we pull back the curtain and realize that there's a person back there who has their own set of biases and relationships and philosophies about crime and about people, about the types of people more likely to commit crime, about the type of people that they think are worthy of excuse, or and they are more likely to make excuses for and cover up, about how they will allow themselves to get involved with the criminal process to either advance things along or to stand in the way and be obstructive. And so it's not until now that we've gotten a chance to see that this is a very powerful position, that the DA is protected both by prosecutorial discretion and prosecutorial immunity. Those things work together to make the DAs virtually untouchable. And this has been going on in our county. In our county, we've had 2 different changes in the past 8 years or so, 8 to 12 years. But the DA before that was in office for 20 years. Who knew what he did?
Right.
Everybody assumes, and here's the issue. One of the reasons that it's been so difficult to hold law enforcement responsible up until now is that there is this societal assumption that we give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt, that they're all working to protect and serve the people, and no law enforcement officer enjoys that presumption more than the district attorney, because nobody knows what the district attorney does. And when you have an elected official that has that level of power, as a citizen and as a voter, you must be concerned with knowing who that person is, knowing how they think, knowing how they lead, and what's important to them.
And who they advocate.
Yeah. Can I add just one thing to that?
Sure.
Just to bring it down to a ground level. Jackie Johnson, the DA in Glenn County, she's been the DA for at least 10 years. But 10 years ago, she presided over a case where a police officer shot and killed a white woman that was behind the steering wheel of a vehicle that was not going anywhere.